So what happens when your VA disability rating is, say, 70%, but you really know that your service-connected conditions make it impossible to hold down a job? It's a tough spot to be in, and it's a reality for so many veterans. Well, today we're going to pull back the curtain on a really powerful VA rule designed for this exact situation. It's called Total Disability Based on Individual Unemployability, or TDIU for short. And this is the key that can unlock 100% pay, even when the numbers on paper don't quite add up.
This question right here, this is the whole reason we're talking about this today. It gets to the heart of the problem. You have real, legitimate, service-connected disabilities. The VA has rated them. But that percentage, it just doesn't capture the fact that you can't actually work. So what do? Are you just stuck? Or is there a way to bridge that gap between the rating and your reality?
Okay, so here's how we're going to break this all down. First up, we'll talk about why that gap between your rating and your real-life situation even exists. Then we'll introduce TDIU itself, what it is and how it acts as a bridge. After that, we'll get into the nitty-gritty, the two main ways you can qualify. We'll also unpack what the VA actually means by unemployable and what happens if your percentages don't quite fit the mold. And finally, we'll wrap up by looking at the bigger picture, why this rule is so important.
All right, let's kick things off with this first big idea, the rating versus reality gap. Honestly, understanding this is key to understanding why something like TDIU is absolutely necessary.
See, here's the thing you got to understand about the VA's rating system. It's all based on this idea of the average impairment. Think of it like a giant standardized chart. The percentage you get isn't really about you specifically. It's about what the VA thinks the average person with that condition would experience in terms of their ability to earn a living. It's kind of one size fits all, and it doesn't factor in your unique job skills, your age, or the specific challenges you face. And that's exactly where the problem starts.
So how does the VA solve this problem? Well, this brings us to TDIU. It's the mechanism, the tool, that acts as a bridge over that gap we just talked about. The specific rule is found in the Code of Federal Regulations, Section 4.16, and it's designed to add a layer of common sense to the rating system.
And here it is. This is the heart of it, right here. TDIU basically gives the VA permission to look beyond the cold, hard numbers. They can look at your, let's say, 70% rating and say, okay, we see the number, but for this specific veteran, these conditions make it impossible to keep a decent job. And when they make that call, you get paid at the 100% rate. That's the power of TDIU.
Okay, so how do you actually qualify? The VA lays out two main highways to get there. These are what they call the schedular requirements, because you can find them spelled out right in the official rating schedule.
Let's break these two paths down. Path number one is pretty straightforward. If you have one single service-connected disability that's rated at 60% or higher, you meet the first part of the test. Now, path number two is for folks who have multiple conditions. For this one, your combined rating has to be at least 70%. But, and this is a really important detail, at least one of those disabilities has to be rated at 40% or more all by itself.
But wait a second. What in the world counts as that one disability that needs to hit 40%? Well, this is where the regulation gets kind of smart and, flexible. The VA actually lets you bundle related conditions together. So, for example, multiple problems with your legs could be treated as one thing. Or several injuries you got from a single IED blast in combat could be combined. This is a really crucial detail that helps a lot of veterans meet that 40% threshold.
All right, so getting the percentages right is just part one of the puzzle. That's not the end of the story. You also have to show the VA that you're unemployable because of those service-connected conditions. So, what does unemployable actually mean in their eyes?
And this line right here, taken straight from the regulations, is absolutely critical. It says marginal employment shall not be considered substantially gainful employment. This is a huge deal. It means that just because you're earning a little bit of money here and there doesn't automatically kick you out of the running for TDIU.
So, what exactly is marginal employment? Well, the main yardstick the VA uses is income. If what you're earning in a year is less than the federal poverty level for a single person, that's usually considered marginal. But it's not just about the dollar amount. It could also mean you're working in what they call a protected environment. Maybe working for a family business where they give you special accommodations that a regular boss wouldn't. The VA is supposed to look at the whole picture.
Okay, so what happens if you're stuck in that tough spot where you know you can't work because of your service-connected issues, but you just don't hit those magic numbers, that 60 or 70% we talked about? Are you out of luck? No, there is another way. It's called the extra schedular path.
Now, this path works a little differently. Your local VA office can't just stamp it approved. If they agree that your case has merit, even without the right percentages, they have to put together a whole file, your disabilities, work history, education, the whole shebang, and send it up the chain to the Director of Compensation Service for a special, high-level review. It's definitely a higher bar to clear, but it's so important that this safety net exists.
So let's pull all of this together. Why all the complexity? Why have these main paths and then this extra schedular path? It all comes back to the core reason the VA disability system was created in the first place.
At the end of the day, TDIU is the VA's way of acknowledging a simple truth. A percentage on a chart can't possibly tell your whole story. It's the system's safety valve. It's designed to look beyond the average veteran and focus on the real-world, functional impact a disability has on one person's ability to put food on the table.
And that leaves us with a final thought to chew on. When you understand a concept like individual unemployability, it kind of changes how you see the entire rating system, doesn't it? A VA rating isn't some final judgment on your worth or your struggle. It's just the starting point of a much deeper conversation about how service-connected conditions truly affect a veteran's life. It's a system that, at its best, recognizes that people are always more than just a percentage. Thanks for digging into this with me today.